The music industry just hit the self-destruct button, and the debris is falling directly on the Untouchables. Imagine the scene. The 2026 Grammys. The lights are blinding, the champagne is flowing, and the elite are toasted.
Nicki Minaj has been hinting that Jay-Z is the most evil person in the music industry for a decade now.
But while the cameras were focused on the stage at the crypto arena, a digital warhead was being launched from 3,000 miles away. Nicki Minaj didn't just skip the ceremony, she declared an all-out scorched-earth war on the throne. We're talking leaked footage that has the industry's most powerful couple, Jay-Z and Beyoncé, looking over their shoulders. We're talking allegations of billion-dollar sabotage, $200 million karmic debts, and claims of a straight power play that sounds more like a mob movie than a music contract. From the halls of the White House to the shadows of Rock Nation, the Queen of Rap is pulling back the curtain on what she calls a ritualistic machine designed to silence anyone who won't play ball.
She is still at the White House with Donald Trump discussing very important issues.
Is this the end of the Carter dynasty, or is Nicki Minaj burning the bridge she helped build? The jig isn't just up, it's been dismantled in front of the entire world. Buckle up because the industry is shook, and the story behind the 2026 Grammys is darker than anyone dared to imagine. The air inside the crypto arena on February 2nd, 2026, was thick with more than just expensive perfume and ego. It was supposed to be the victory lap for the establishment, a night where the industry's gatekeepers reminded everyone who truly runs the world. Trevor Noah was back on the mic for his sixth and final victory lap, but the vibes shifted the moment he realized the biggest elephant in the room wasn't actually in the room. When those cameras started panning across the front rows, catching the glitz and the forced smiles of the A-list, the atmosphere turned cold. The joke that changed everything wasn't even a joke. It was a shot fired across the bow. When Trevor announced to the global audience that Nicki Minaj wasn't there, it wasn't a standard "we miss her" moment. It was a celebration of her absence. You saw it in real time. You saw the nervous laughter. You saw Chrissy Teigen, someone Nicki has had in her sights for years, throwing up a literal thumbs up, basking in the fact that the Queen was missing. John Legend sitting right there, the whole crowd cheering like they just defeated a villain. Let that marinate. One of the most decorated, influential, and record-breaking artists in the history of the genre was being treated like a ghost at her own feast. But why? Because Nicki Minaj had done the unthinkable. She stepped outside the Hollywood circle and walked straight into the Oval Office. Just days before the music industry gathered to pat itself on the back, Nicki was in Washington, D.C. with Donald Trump. We aren't just talking about a photo op, we're talking about a full-on alliance. She was posting up with the president, calling herself his #1 fan, and walking away with what she called a gold card visa. While the industry was busy planning red carpet looks, Nicki was discussing the persecution of Nigerian Christians and global policy with U.S. officials. The disconnect was jarring. Trevor Noah leaned into it, dropping an impression of Trump that had the arena howling, mocking her for being at the White House while they were celebrating art. But the laughter didn't last long, because while they were mocking her on stage, Nicki was systematic. She was sitting back, watching the feed, and preparing to dismantle the entire evening via X. While other artists were walking up those steps to give rehearsed, humble speeches, Nicki was firing off 24 posts that were landing like heat-seeking missiles. She didn't need an invite. She didn't need a seat at the table. She hijacked the entire global algorithm from 3,000 miles away. She called the Grammys a ritual. She didn't use the word lightly. She spoke about God Almighty revealing the truth and condemned every tongue that rose against her. But then, she took the gloves off and pointed the finger directly at the man she's hinted at for a decade, Sean Jay-Z Carter. This wasn't just a Twitter rant, it was a forensic teardown. She started flooding the timeline with images the industry has tried to scrub from the collective memory. We're talking about those 1996 photos of a 26-year-old Jay-Z with a teenage Aaliyah. She was forcing the public to look at the age gaps, calling him a predator on a public platform with zero filter. She was showing a young Beyoncé with Jay-Z from the late 90s, questioning the timelines that the Carters have spent millions of dollars to polish and protect. The media tried to spin it immediately. Forbes called it a MAGA meltdown. Gossip tried to label it as delusional, but the numbers don't lie. That night, Nicki Minaj was the most searched artist on the planet. She outperformed the Grammys, the winners, and the host combined. She proved that the machine is only powerful if you believe in it, and she clearly doesn't anymore. The tension we saw explode that night wasn't some random Tuesday beef. This was 10 years of moving funny finally coming to light. Nicki started naming names, and she started with the money. She brought up the 2015 launch of Tidal. Remember that stage? The Avengers of music all standing together? Nicki was one of the original equity partners. She gave her likeness, her promo, and her massive fan base, the Barbs, to a platform that was supposed to save the artist. But when Jay-Z sold Tidal to Square in 2021 for $302 million, Nicki says the math didn't add up. She claims she got a phone call telling her there was no money made on the deal. They offered her $1 million to basically hush up and go away. $1 million for a woman who helped build the foundation of the house? She laughed at it. By the time we got to Grammy Night 2026, she was shouting from the rooftops that Jay-Z owes her a karmic debt ranging between $100 to $200 million. And it wasn't just about the bank account, it was about the straight power play behind the scenes. Nicki accused Jay-Z and Roc Nation of systemic sabotage. She didn't stop at music. She said he ruined football, ruined basketball, ruined touring, and ruined social media. Those are massive claims, but she started connecting the dots that have had people whispering in barbershops for years. She pointed directly at the 2025 Super Bowl in New Orleans. The whole world expected Lil Wayne, the hometown hero and the man who literally discovered Nicki Minaj, to get that halftime slot. Instead, it went to Kendrick Lamar. Nicki didn't blame Kendrick. She blamed the man pulling the strings at the NFL, Jay-Z. She accused him of using his position to snub Wayne out of pure ego and old beef with Birdman and Drake. She said he was denying a black man his rightful moment just to show who really holds the keys to the kingdom. But the most chilling part of her exposé involved how she says her voice is being silenced in the digital age. She claimed her features, like the one on Lil Wayne's Carter 6, were being demolished and buried by the algorithm. She talked about listening devices, car tags, and cameras. She told her fans to save everything because she knew the industry demons were trying to scrub her existence. She even pointed out the irony of the timing, how whenever she starts dropping truth bombs, Jay-Z suddenly pops up on stage with Beyoncé in Paris for the first time in 7 years. A crazy in love performance to distract the masses from the legal paperwork she's threatening to drop. She called out the CEO of Roc Nation, Desiree Perez, giving her the nickname Desserrat, and reminding everyone of Perez's history as a federal informant. Nicki was asking the questions no one else dared to ask. Why does a woman with a criminal record for distributing 35 kilos of narcotics have the power to gatekeep the music industry? Why did Trump pardon her on his last day in office? Nicki was suggesting that a deal was made in the dark, and she's the only one willing to turn on the lights. She mentioned a RICO situation and billboard manipulation, signaling that this isn't just a celebrity beef. It's a legal war that could bring the entire structure of Roc Nation to its knees. She warned them, the destruction that is about to come down on them is not funny. And as the Grammy lights dimmed, the world realized that Nicki Minaj wasn't just sniping, she was declaring herself the whistleblower of the century. The fallout from that Grammy night didn't just stay on social media, it moved into the boardrooms and the darkest corners of the industry's infrastructure. To understand why Nicki finally snapped, you have to look at the mechanics of how a superstar gets boxed in. Nicki didn't just wake up and decide to go to war. She claims she's been watching the walls close in for nearly a decade. She started dropping details about the RICO-level coordination she believes is being used to suppress her career. This is where the story shifts from a celebrity feud to a full-on industrial conspiracy. Nicki began detailing how her engagement was being throttled, claiming that they, the vague but powerful entities at the top of the food chain, were using back-end access to social media platforms to hide her posts from her own followers. She told the Barbs to start taking screenshots every time they were flagged or suspended for simply sharing her music or hashtagging her name. She was describing a digital shadow ban orchestrated by the very people who claim to represent the culture. She pointed to Jay-Z's alleged involvement with platform stakeholders, suggesting that when certain companies changed hands, the new management was doing favors for the Roc Nation elite. The most explosive evidence she brought to the table involved the demolition of her musical output. She didn't just say they were trying to stop her, she said they were actively deleting her presence from the charts. She pointed to a specific collaboration with Lil Wayne on the Carter 6 album, a track where she was reportedly spitting fire about the NFL and the Super Bowl snub. According to Nicki, that song was deliberately buried, its metadata tampered with, and its reach limited so it would never see the light of day as a hit. Why? Because the lyrics were too close to the bone. She was talking about the NFL firing people and then coming back to them when they needed black optics, a direct shot at the partnership between Jay-Z and the league. She claimed that listening devices and car tags were part of a surveillance campaign meant to intimidate her into silence. While some skeptics called it paranoia, Nicki's supporters pointed to the fact that she has the resources to know exactly when she's being watched. Then came the receipts of the robbery. Nicki went deep into the title deal, and this is where the $200 million figure comes from. She explained that as an original partner, she wasn't just a face for the brand, she was a primary driver of its subscription base. When Jay-Z sold the majority stake to Jack Dorsey's Square, the payout was massive, but the artist owners supposedly got crumbs. Nicki claims she was told the deal didn't make a profit for the partners, a claim that seems impossible given the $302 million price tag. She accused the Jigga Man of a slick accounting trick, moving money into different entities so the artists who built the house couldn't even get into the garage. She called it a karmic debt that was collecting interest every single day. She wasn't just asking for her money, she was accusing him of destroying multiple industries by setting a precedent where the person at the top eats everything and leaves the creators with the scraps. She even alleged that her own documentary, a project fans have been waiting for years, was sabotaged by these same forces because she refused to edit out the parts where she spoke about the abuse she suffered within the industry. But the Queen Bee wasn't exempt from the smoke either. Nicki began referencing a straight power play involving Beyoncé. She dropped a bombshell about a song she did with The Weeknd during the Queen era. According to Nicki, she had already started the legal paperwork for the beat, but Jay-Z allegedly stepped in and claimed the beat actually belonged to Beyoncé. This kind of behind-the-scenes moving funny is what Nicki says has been happening for years. A constant quiet boxing in where her ideas, her producers, and her opportunities are intercepted by the Carters before she can even sign the contract. She even brought up a track with Nas that was supposed to be a legendary moment for Queens, New York, but claimed it was killed by Jay-Z's jealousy. She was painting a picture of a man who doesn't just want to be the best, he wants to ensure no one else can even compete. The silence from the Roc Nation camp was deafening. While the Breakfast Club and other major platforms debated her claims, the question remained, why not sue her? If Nicki Minaj is truly lying about a $200 million debt, about RICO investigations, and about criminal sabotage, why wouldn't a billionaire like Jay-Z take her to court for defamation? Nicki's answer was simple. They don't want to open discovery. In a courtroom, Jay-Z's books would be open for the world to see. The title contracts, the NFL deals, the gold card arrangements, it would all be public record. Nicki was effectively daring them to sue her, knowing that she has enough information to turn a civil case into a federal nightmare for the establishment. She pointed out that they were quick to back Megan Thee Stallion and sue small-time bloggers. But when the queen of rap calls them out as predators and thieves, they stay silent. That silence to Nicki and her millions of followers was an admission of guilt. The rabbit hole went even deeper when Nicki brought the focus back to Desiree Perez. She didn't just call her a snitch. She accused her of using the same tactics on her own family that she allegedly uses on the industry. Nicki reposted an interview from Perez's estranged daughter, Dee Marie Hadley, who claimed she was unlawfully locked up in a mental health facility under the Baker Act by her own mother. Nicki drew a direct line from that situation to her own swatting incidents, where fake police calls were made to her home. She was suggesting that the Roc Nation CEO has a playbook for silencing people. If you can't buy them, you label them crazy and have them institutionalized or arrested. It was a terrifying look into the ugly underbelly of music's most powerful circle. Nicki warned that she had story times ready to go that would make the Diddy allegations look like a Sunday school picnic. The industry was paralyzed. While Beyoncé continued her world tour and Jay-Z made strategic appearances in Paris to keep the perfect family image alive, the digital ground was shifting. Nicki was no longer just an artist. She was becoming a political figure, protected by her gold card status and her alliance with the highest levels of the new Washington administration. She told the world she wouldn't be dropping another album until her contract was renegotiated and the sabotage stopped. She was holding her music hostage to force the industry to pay its debts. They thought it was a joke, she posted, but the destruction that's coming isn't funny. She was signaling that the era of the Untouchables was over, and she was the one holding the match. As part 2 of this saga unfolded, it became clear that this wasn't just about a Grammy joke. It was about a decade of suppressed rage finally finding a platform that couldn't be shut down. The jig wasn't just up. The entire foundation was beginning to crumble. The digital earthquake that started on Grammy Night 2026 wasn't just about hurt feelings or a missed invite. It was the opening act of what Nicki Minaj calls the Great Reveal. As the week progressed, the Queen of Rap didn't retreat. She leaned further into the chaos, dropping the most dangerous word in the legal dictionary: RICO. In a series of posts that sent shockwaves through Wall Street and Hollywood alike, Nicki alleged that her private investigators and a gold card-backed federal inquiry have been uncovering a massive racketeer-influenced and corrupt organizations case involving the music industry's biggest power players. She claimed that the sabotage of her career wasn't just bitterness from Jay-Z, but a coordinated effort involving Billboard chart manipulation, fraudulent streaming numbers, and a pay-to-play system designed to bankrupt anyone who dared to stand independent. She told her fans, "I won't be releasing an album until I tell you about all the sabotage this RICO is finding out about Billboard." Think about that. She is holding the most anticipated music in the world hostage as leverage to burn down the system that tried to bury her. But the most disturbing part of this third act involves the dark, ritualistic accusations that Nicki began to fire at the Carter dynasty. Moving past business beef and $200 million debts, she began reposting claims that accused Jay-Z and Beyoncé of something far more sinister. She spoke about sacrificing children as a means of gaining and maintaining power. These aren't just rap disses. These are accusations that strike at the very soul of the industry's elite. Nicki wrote, "Are y'all understanding that these people have been doing horrific stuff? If you ever vote Democrat again, you're just as soulless as they are." She was tying the music industry's dark rituals directly to a political machine she claims is designed to protect monsters in exchange for their influence over the masses. She pointed to the Epstein files, suggesting that the jig is up because the names hidden in those redacted pages are finally starting to leak, and the trail leads directly to the front row of the Grammys. She didn't stop at the Carters. Nicki turned her sights on the media platforms she says were complicit in the cover-up. She threatened the owners of major blogs like The Shade Room, accusing them of being on the payroll to suppress her positive news while amplifying any smear campaign against her. She detailed a world where listening devices, cameras, and car tags are standard operating procedure for Roc Nation's enforcement arm. This is the kidnapping angle the fans are buzzing about. The idea that she was being boxed in, both digitally and physically. She spoke about how they tried to stall all her projects, hoping she would go broke and come begging them for help. But instead of begging, Nicki went to the one person the industry fears more than her, the president. By aligning with Donald Trump, Nicki secured a gold card level of protection that her ops cannot touch. She's effectively a whistleblower with a presidential shield, and she's using it to expose what she calls a satanic cult operating under the guise of black excellence. The reaction from the establishment has been a mix of terrified silence and desperate distraction. While Nicki was exposing the ugly underbelly, Jay-Z was making high-profile appearances in Paris, performing Crazy in Love with Beyoncé as if the world wasn't burning around them. But the fans aren't buying the perfect family image anymore. Even on The Breakfast Club, the host had to admit the silence from Roc Nation is odd. Why not sue for defamation? Why not clear your name? Nicki's answer is that they can't. To sue her would be to grant her discovery, the legal right to look into their emails, their bank accounts, and their private contracts. She is daring them to take her to court, knowing that she's already turned the court of public opinion into a firing squad. She's even gone after Trevor Noah's personal life, claiming she knows who his boyfriend is and accusing him of staying in the closet to protect his mainstream appeal. No one is safe. No secret is sacred. As we look at the wreckage of 2026, the question isn't whether Nicki Minaj is snapping, it's whether the industry can survive her truth. She has promised story times that will name the two infantile individuals she's been hinting at for a decade. She has connected her own swatting incidents to the alleged institutionalization of Desiree Perez's daughter, painting a picture of a company that uses mental health laws and fake police calls to silence dissent. She told the industry, "The destruction that is about to come down on them is not funny. I warned them to leave me alone." With Elon Musk retweeting her and the DOJ allegedly sniffing around Billboard's data, the Untouchables look more vulnerable than ever. Nicki Minaj has officially moved from the queen of rap to the queen of the rebellion, and she's proving that you can run the whole game from 3,000 miles away if you're brave enough to tell the world where the bodies are buried. The jig isn't just up, it's over. The industry is in a full-blown panic, and Nicki Minaj is just getting started with the receipts. We've seen the ritual exposed, the $200 million betrayal, and the RICO investigation that could change music history forever. But what do you think? Is Nicki Minaj finally bringing justice to a corrupt system? Or is this the most high-stakes war the music world has ever seen? The gold card is on the table, and the Carters are officially on notice. Don't miss a single second of this unfolding drama. Hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications because we are tracking every leak, every story time, and every legal filing in real time. If you believe the jig is up, drop a queen in the comments below and let us know whose side you're on in this battle for the soul of the industry. The truth is coming out, and you're going to want to be here when the final names drop. Stay tuned, stay woke, and keep it locked. This is the end of the industry as we know it.